Picture a short lady, shoulder length, strong personality. My mom, Michaela, a math and science teacher at the elementary school and an army general at home. Since our very early age, my brother and I learned the 2 milestones of the house. Rule number 1, take your shoes off the minute you step into the house and run to the bathroom to wash your hands. Rule number 2, Tuesday is the most important day of the week because the cleaning lady comes to tidy up the apartment, although it already looks squeaky clean. My mom was not just big on cleaning, she really wanted me to earn the highest grades. When I got a C in math, I used to jump out of my chair and start running around the classroom with the happiest smile on my face. But when I would get back home, all I would get was, Through time, I realized that cleaning and high grades were actually linked together. My mom wanted the perfect score in both cases, and anything below that was just not worthy of any congratulations. Through time, I learned to internalize the pressure for the perfect score, and by the time I got to college, it kind of skyrocketed. But no panic. I started a journey of self-discovery, and with a therapist's help, I understood that perfection is a trap. Perfection is not attainable in a world that is constantly demonstrating imperfect. Also, perfection is not inclusive. It's so exclusive that it's unattainable. It permeates different areas of our lives. It can be school, it can be at home, relationships, and it can get in the way of our happiness unless we find strategies that work for us to keep it in check. Take school. I have now transitioned from being a student to being a faculty member. Last semester, I had the privilege to teach 12 undergraduate students from all over the United States a course of public speaking. These incredible students all embarked on the adventure to complete their first semester of college overseas here in Florence. One day, shortly after I published my syllabus, Carly, one of the students, came up to me and asked, "May I talk to you for a second?" Now, for the teachers in the room, we know that this could go in so many ways. So I checked the grading scale and I noticed that it's basically impossible to get the perfect score. Wow. Carly's statement came as a surprise, not so much for the substance, but because despite having all the technology in this world available and being the second child of a math teacher, I had probably messed up another calculation. I couldn't recall the grading scale, and I was honest with Carly. I promised to go back, check, and follow up. But the most important point that I wanted to drive home was, Carly, you're not worried about the perfect score, are you? I could tell by the tone of her voice and the look on her face how concerned she was. Carly was confusing excellence with perfection. One is attainable, but not all the time. And it's okay when we don't excel. Perfection instead is just not feasible in a world that is constantly demonstrating imperfect. Moving forward, perfection permeates other areas of our lives. For instance, I know it's winter, were probably a little cold, but come back with me to last summer. Schools are closed, you're away from home, and while you cannot wait to take on the world, traveling with your friends, you have to spend part of your summer vacation at home with mom and dad. And it happens also when you're not in school anymore. Last summer, perfection came knocking on my door when I was vacationing with my parents at the beach. My parents invited 5 friends over for dinner. We sat on the terrace, and the minute dinner started, I got a question from the other side of the table. Giacomo, how's it going with the ladies? When you're 30 and single, these questions do not come as a surprise. But most importantly, my first mental reaction was, some people just can't resist gossip. So, the person who asked the question is a really sweet Florentine lady, and I didn't want to disappoint her. So I sarcastically said, at the moment, I can barely take care of myself, so I don't envision having a woman in my life right now. It wasn't difficult to respond with a calm tone, but I will admit, it was the result of a long training process. And this is another example of the trap of perfection. The idea that when you reach a certain age, you need to check off a number of boxes. And if you don't check them all, someone will point it out to you. Kind of the idea that your friends could be either the one supporting you to stay out of the trap of perfection or being the ones doing the pushing. I wish I could tell you there was one powerful strategy that worked for all of us. But the truth is different. Come with me to Long Beach, California, and meet Carl, a 2-meter tall man with 50 years of life experience, more than I have. Carl taught me a very important lesson. One size does not fit all. So it's about finding the strategy that works for you at any given moment. I could tell you, go and do yoga. But what if you hate breathing and stretching in a quiet setting? It wouldn't help. Why are we talking about strategies to keep perfection in check? Because the trap of perfection can become an obstacle to our happiness. And once we understand how to get the trap under control, we become winners. Dr. Laurie Santos, professor of psychology at Yale and author of the Happiness Lab podcast, talked about how if you take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for every day is very helpful, just as much as not comparing yourself to others. She refers to these techniques as requirements. Dr. Santos is also an advocate for sports, the one that you like, not the one that you have to do. But I've also learned that speaking and responding to the voices in your head can lead to very interesting and calming conversations. When I accidentally realized that I fell into the trap of perfection, the first thing I do is take a step back and try to reframe the situation from a more realistic point of view. And when I really don't know what to do, I ask for help. Like I did that Wednesday back in 2016, after spilling coffee over a folded tablecloth at my parents' place. Yes, I did panic that time. I didn't know what to do, especially because my mom had told me so many times to always spread the cloth open on the table. But did I listen? So I turned to the wisest person I could think of in that moment, my older brother. I call him up, and even if at first he reacted, "Why are you bothering me?" When I explained the situation, he quickly understood the seriousness of the matter. "You need to soak up the stain. Get baking soda." "Okay, but where does Mom keep baking soda?" My brother's advice was logical, but it didn't help solving the issue. Eventually, I ran out of the door because I was running late for my next client, whom I was teaching English privately at the time. I faced General Mom and the consequences of spilling coffee on the cloth. Yes, it was the end of the world for her, but not so much for me. Perfection. Perhaps a worthy, yet unattainable goal. Perfection permeates different areas of our lives. It can be school, it can be relationships, it can happen at home or at work. But we should not confuse it with excellence, which sometimes we can achieve and sometimes we can't. And when we cannot, it's okay. I encourage all of you to be mindful of this trap, to be aware. And if it happens that you accidentally fall into it, it's okay. I hope you will find the strategy that works best for all of you. If you're willing to explore and embrace the beautiful imperfections of this world, you will find your way to climb out just like you fell in. Thank you.